everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a new reading vlog. So as you just saw in the previous clips, I went on a little vacation to Oregon with my family, and it was so much fun, and I got a lot of reading done. I read 4 books. We left Saturday night and we stayed the night at our cabin in the States that we have, and then on Sunday we drove to Oregon, so we were there for a few days, and then we came home Wednesday evening, late afternoon, and these are the books that I read. So the last time we went to Oregon, Portland, I was reading the Bloodlines series. It's back there, but I never finished my reread of it, and so I decided perfect time to bring the last 2 books, Silver Shadows and the Ruby Circle. So I started this on Saturday on our drive down to the States, and then I finished it on our drive to Oregon. So then I started the Ruby Circle, which is the 6th book. So I read both of these. I absolutely adore this series. Like, it's just so much fun. And upon reflection, after rereading it, this is my first time fully rereading the series, I think my favorites are either the Indigo Spell, the Fiery Heart, or Silver Shadows. I can't pick between the 3 for some reason. There's so many fun things that happen in this like second half of the series, and I just love them so much. So I'm really glad that I read these ones. So I took a pause reading of this one at one point because I wanted to read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and we were going to the beach, so I was like, perfect time to read this one, even though there's not that many like actual beach scenes in this book, and I don't think I had hit a beach scene at the point that we were at the beach. But do I care? No, it was still a really fun time. So I read this book back in 2020 when it first came out, and ever since I've been like dying to do a reread of it. And so I finally decided that this was the perfect opportunity to do so, since I knew that we would be spending some time on the beach. And I added more tabs to it this time, and it's just so satisfying to look at. I adore this book so much. I have a whole reading vlog on my channel from when I first read this, where like I fangirl like crazy over it, so I'm not going to go into it too much here, but I just, oh my god. This book, like, I knew that I loved it. It was like one of my favorite books of 2020, but it's been so long since I read it. Like, it's been 2 years that I kind of forgot the specific reasons about why I loved it so much, like just how real the characters feel, how they both had like these problems that I could relate to. And it's even better reading it now because obviously both characters are writers in this book, and I'm a writer, and like I've gone through a lot writing wise since last reading this book, and I can understand things a bit better than I used to, and I can relate to things a bit more than I used to. So that was like a really nice thing to discover while rereading. I just love these characters so much. I love their romance. I love the whole plot and concept of this book, and it means so much to me. It is 100% my favorite Emily Henry book. I just had the best time reading this one. So on the way home, I ended up finishing the Ruby Circle, but then I picked up Cafe con Leche by Emery Lee. I got an arc of this book back in May. Maybe? Yeah, it came out in May, and I think I got it in May. I ended up doing a poll on Instagram asking you guys what my next read should be, and it was this book and a couple of other ones, and this one won by a lot actually, I think. And I'm so glad that you guys chose for me to read this book. So if you participated in that poll, thank you, because this book was so good. The characters were so fun to read about. They were messy and flawed, and just like they felt so real to me, and they were just like, yeah, a complete joy to read about. I loved the plot of the story of like these 2 rival cafes and how they have to like come together, kind of like an enemies to lovers situation, and it was just so enjoyable. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was a really quick and easy read too. Like, we still had like an hour or so left on our road trip to come home by the time that I finished this book, and I loved it so much. I'm really glad that I read it. I really liked the writing style. Just everything about this book was so fun. So if you have yet to pick up Cafe con Leche, I definitely recommend it. But also, like, now that like I know the meaning behind the title as well, I loved it so much. Like, you find out at the end what it like fully means, and I'm just like, oh, I'm obsessed with it. So now that we're back from Oregon, I have some other books that I'd really like to read before the end of this month. So in between my last vlog and this vlog, I actually read a lot, and I was going to start another vlog, and then I just never got around to it. I might end up doing a wrap-up of some sort to kind of talk about all the books that I've read recently. I haven't done any wrap-ups this year, but I wouldn't mind starting them up again, maybe. I'm not holding myself to that, but I just have read a lot of books recently that I wouldn't mind talking about about with all of you, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not too sure. But in that time, I did read The Archived by Victoria Schwab. So it's the first book in this Dark Vault bind-up. I talked about in the last vlog how I was watching Locke and Key on Netflix, and it got me in the mood to read other stories about keys, and so this one popped out at me, and I just felt like this deep need to read this book. Like, I was craving it so hard. So I went ahead and decided to read the first book before leaving for Oregon, and I annotated it again because I've annotated it before, and it was just like, oh, it's so beautiful and satisfying to look at now, because like it wasn't that heavily annotated before, but I definitely like added a lot more annotations this time, and I even bought like this really pretty like aqua colored pen to like kind of match elements of the cover, and I'm just so happy with it. But I didn't get time to read The Unbound, which is the sequel, before we left, and I didn't want to lug this book and like all my annotation supplies to Oregon, and also like annotating in the car, not a good idea. I think I've done it before, and it's just obviously like trying to write in a moving car is not very easy, and like highlighting wasn't about to do it. But now we're back, and I'm going to jump into The Unbound today, and I'm literally so excited about it. This is one of my favorite little series ever. These are like one of my favorite V.E. Schwab books that exist. I know it's not everybody's like cup of tea, but it's definitely mine. I just love the vibes of it and the characters and like just everything, and I love the second book so much, and I'm just, yeah, I'm very excited to read this book. It's like the exact kind of vibe and mood that I'm kind of in right now, so I'm really excited to pick this up. I'm actually going to do that in like a couple of minutes here. I just wanted to start out this vlog properly. As for what else I want to read before the end of the month, speaking of Locke and Key, I put hold on my library for the comics of Locke and Key because they were originally comics, and I wasn't going to read them. Like, I started the show and I was like, I'm not gonna read the comics, I'm just gonna watch the show. And then I finished the show and I desperately missed it, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go read the comics now and see kind of how they differ. I believe there are 6 volumes out. I know that there's like a prequel kind of book or of some sort that I saw on the library site that has to do with like the history of Key House and like the ancestors and whatnot, but that might be something I'm into if I enjoy these other volumes. But I believe there are 6 core volumes, and I put them on hold at the library, and I'm just anxiously waiting for them to come in because I really want to read them. So hopefully those will come in the next couple of days, and I can go pick them up and then just like binge read them, because I'm just so obsessed with Locke and Key. It's literally all that I think about. I made my friend Lorena watch it, and now she's like obsessed with it, or she's really enjoying it. I'm gonna make my best friend watch it with me, which I'm just so excited about. So I'm gonna be rewatching it soon. Are we surprised? No, we're not. But anyways, besides that, I want to also read You Have a Match by Emma Lord. So the story about this one is I have this like series on my channel where I pit like 2 booktube friends up against each other, and each person picks out 2 books that they think that I'm gonna like or that they want me to read, and we see which one of them knows my reading taste the best. And I've been planning the next episode in that series since like November, December, and I even read one of the books in December and then just never read the other ones. So this is one of the books that was chosen for me by somebody. I won't tell you who yet, but I'm like finally ready to just like get this video out there. So I really desperately want to read this book this month so I can make some progress in finishing that vlog. I have the audiobook for it. I may or may not listen to it as an audiobook, but I do now have the physical copy. I bought this at Powell's the last time we went to Portland last month, so I do have the option to read it as a physical book. I am, however, listening to an audiobook right now. I'm currently listening to the first Percy Jackson book, The Lightning Thief. Now, I have read this before. I believe I've actually read this twice before, and with all like the hubbub about the new show that's coming out, it's kind of weirdly gotten me in the mood for Percy Jackson, and I don't love that series. It's not my thing. I like the characters, I like the vibes of it, but Greek mythology just isn't really my thing. So I just like, I've never been obsessed with this series. I read all 6 books of the like main Percy Jackson series and just like I didn't love them, but now I'm like weirdly like in the mood to like reread them. So I'm currently on the first book. I'm just over an hour into the audiobook, and it's that time of the month to be doing my bullet journal spreads, so hopefully I will be able to finish it quite quickly. But yeah, I'm randomly reading Percy Jackson. Here we are. Did not expect this, but it's happening, you know, it's happening. Yeah, so I've got a lot of things that I want to read by the end of this month. I'm very excited about it. Anyways, this has been way too long of an intro clip, so I'm really excited to get into The Unbound. So I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and read this for a while before I have to have a dinner and then go to my friend's house. So I'm very excited. Okay, so it's now Sunday. I'm on page 472 in the Dark Vault. I don't know what that translates to in the Unbound, but you can kind of see maybe where that sticky note is and where my bookmark is. So I'm almost halfway through the book. I read a good chunk of it today, which is exciting, and I really love it. I think that my favorite in the series is still the first book. I just have a lot of like sentimental feelings towards the first book, and I think I might like the plot a little bit more, but I still do really love the plot in the second one. We just haven't quite gotten to the part that I love the most yet of the plot, so I'm just kind of waiting for that. But in the meantime, I am loving the characters. I'm really enjoying seeing Mackenzie's arc in this book. We get to kind of see how deeply the events from the last book are affecting her. A lot of PTSD, and I'm just really enjoying it, as awful as that sounds, because it's just so like interesting to read about, and it feels very realistic to me, and so I enjoy reading about it, and I'm just having a grand old time. There are of course some great quotes because V.E. Schwab's writing is beautiful, and I'm having a good time at reading it and annotating it, and it's so much fun. I'm really hoping to finish this today or tomorrow though. I didn't read as much as I wanted to today, so that's a little unfortunate, but hopefully I'll be able to finish this soon. However, I did finish The Lightning Thief today on audiobook while I was doing my bullet journal spreads, so that was great. I was really hoping that this reread would make me feel differently about the book, make me love it a little bit more, hoping that it would like just changed my mind. Unfortunately, it did not. I still feel kind of very middle of the road about it. It's a fun time. I like the characters. I can see why so many people love it. It's not my thing, I don't think. And I think reading this first book kind of satisfied my itch to like consume Percy Jackson because of all the hubbub about the TV show. So I think I'm okay for a while, and I don't think I'll be immediately continuing the reread. I might in the future, but for right now I'm gonna put a little pause on it and listen to other things. So I'm going to be picking up You Have a Match by Emma Lord next on audiobook to finish up my bullet journal spreads, but I'm doing that, like I said, for a different vlog, so I'm not going to be really updating about it here. I can like update on my like general progress, but like not my actual feelings. Beyond that, I mentioned in another clip that I had the Lock and Key comics on hold at the library, so they came in the other day, and I now have volumes 2 through 6. Volume 1 is not yet available. It's still checked out by somebody, so I'm waiting for that person to check it back in so that I can have it. So it's really like a tease having these volumes because I can't just like immediately jump into them. It's not like it's a later volume that I don't have, it's the first one. So these are just sitting here taunting me because now that I have them in my possession, I am like desperate to read them. Like I'm craving it so bad, and like just looking at these covers and seeing that like the keys look exactly how they do in the TV show, like that's the head key and it looks just like it does in the show. Like it just makes me want to read it so badly and see how it compares to the show and just kind of like dissect everything. Like I haven't even like looked too closely at like the art style. The only hints I've gotten are to like what's on the back right there, and so I need the first volume to come in so I can read these other ones and dissect everything. And I was really hoping that it would like come in soon so I could read them this month, but it looks like I'm gonna be reading these in September. I want to read them so badly. But anyways, I think I'm gonna go to bed. I will jump in to the Unbound again tomorrow and pick up You Have a Match by Emma Lord. I'm hoping that I'll be able to read the majority of You Have a Match while working on my bullet journal spreads. I still have quite a bit to do, so I guess we're just gonna have to see. I have quite a busy day planned tomorrow, lots of things to do, so hoping that I'll still be able to get a lot of things done. I'm just here to end out this vlog. It's currently September 1st, so I figured the end of the month is the perfect time to end out this vlog. So I'm just gonna wrap up everything that I've kind of read during this vlog, which is a lot. Like I'm quite proud of myself. This isn't even it because I also listened to an audiobook, so let's just go through it really quickly. So first I read Silver Shadows and The Ruby Circle, both by Rochelle Mead. These are the 5th and 6th books in the Bloodlines series. I am so happy that I managed to reread this series this year. I've been wanting to do it for a very long time, and I adore every single second of this series. It's so much fun. If you have not yet read this series or the Vampire Academy series, I highly recommend it. It is fabulous. I also reread Beach Read by Emily Henry. also adore this book. It is such a good time. I'm obsessed with it, and it's another one that I've also been wanting to reread for a very long time, so I'm really glad that I was able to do that this month. And then I also read Cafe con Leche by Emery Lee. Also really adored this book. It was such a fun read. If you've not picked this one up yet, I highly recommend you do so. It was fabulous, and I'm so excited to pick up Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee at some point this year, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, but I loved this book. Wow. I'm pretty sure this was the only new book that I've read. That's sad. Anyways, then I picked up The Unbound by Victoria Schwab. It is the second book in the Dark Vault bind up here. I finished this yesterday and I'm obsessed with this series. I mean, I already knew that I was obsessed, but whenever I annotate things, it always kind of like elevates the experience and kind of makes me love a book more. And this was, I believe, my second time annotating this book, and I just annotated it way more than I did the first time, and it was so much fun. There are so many tabs in here, and I don't know, I just love this series so much. The world to me is just so interesting and so much fun. I love V.E. Schwab's mind and just how creative she is, and like just all these different magical worlds that she's created. And I just really love books that are like set in the real world, but then there's like something magical going on kind of behind the scenes, and I'm obsessed with stories like that. This duology is so freaking good. I still don't know which one's my favorite. I feel like the first one's my favorite just because it's the first book and it's so special to me for so many reasons. But then the second book just has so many good moments in it. I don't know, I think I love them pretty equally, to be honest, now that I think about it. I love it so much. If you have not picked up this duology, what are you doing? Please pick it up. It's so good. I also listened to Percy Jackson The Lightning Thief on audiobook, and this was enjoyable. Not my favorite thing in the world, but it was also a fun time. I didn't get to You Have a Match by Emma Lord like I wanted to. When I was doing my bullet journal spreads, I just honestly wasn't in the mood to listen to an audiobook. I was really craving like watching comfort movies, so I watched a few Disney movies, and that's what I needed. So I'm gonna read this at some point soon, hopefully. We're gonna have to see how that goes. So this was a very successful reading vlog in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know what you guys have been reading recently, because I'd really love to know. Subscribe if you have not yet already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!